This is Let Us Interrupt You podcast episode 78 here on Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. No Mike, just me. Going forward, I'm just going to just say, let me interrupt you going forward. This would be let me interrupt you on Tuesday, and then let us interrupt you will be on Saturday with Mike. So I'm just going to go forward with that introduction. I may say let us interrupt you, but realistically, it's let me interrupt you on Tuesdays because it's just me, no Mike. Anyway, so I'm going to recap NFL Week 1 that happened and concluded as of last night with the Broncos and Seahawks game last night. Seattle getting the upset win. I did not expect that at all coming out of this game. I was actually surprised. I was able to watch the game a little bit this morning, and I was kind of surprised that Denver struggled against the Seattle team. I really was surprised. I didn't expect Seattle to come out of this with a win. I didn't expect Denver to start out 0-1 here on the season. And I didn't really expect Nathaniel Hackett to really be an Andy Reid 2.0 with bad time management towards the end of that game. I can be honest, I blame this on the coach 100%. I don't blame this on Russell Wilson. I think towards the end of the game, when it's fourth down and you're got 20 seconds left in the game, yes, you're out of timeouts in that scenario, but you got to keep going. You can't stop in this scenario. And I think the problem was at the end right now is they didn't know how to handle time management well. It's a rookie head coach, rookie mistake. It happens, right? But there comes a time where I'm looking into this game and I'm thinking like myself, all right, so you don't go for it on fourth down from the Seattle side of the field. Instead, you try to go for a long field goal, which granted, McNinnis can nail one from 66, okay, granted. But I'm looking at this and it was wide left. It wasn't even close. I mean, I just think in that scenario, you got to rethink that. You got to get at least one of those timeouts back at least instead of wasting all of them. It was bad, poor time management with those timeouts. I mean, between those two timeouts right now, there's no excuse. They really should have kept at least some of those timeouts. They wasted them. Very bad night for Denver last night. And really, they never let in the game. Let's be honest. They never let in the game. Seattle was up 7-0. They had the touchdown by Disley towards the beginning of the game. I'm not going to get into highlight every single play just yet, but I will recap some of them. This was a lot of missed field goals, a lot of craziness going on, a lot of drama, a huge comeback. Arthur Smith having a temper tantrum in the end at blowing a 16-point lead against the Saints with the Falcons. Aaron Rodgers quitting again. What a surprise there. I changed my pick from Minnesota from Green Bay to Minnesota just because of the fact they were missing Lazard, missing Barakti, and I think they were missing another lineman too. And they had lost another lineman over the weekend. So, yeah, that's that. But I will start off with the Patriots and the Dolphins here. This was a pathetic performance and a pathetic opening game from the Patriots. I mean, it looked promising at first. It did. There should have been a PI call. Because I'm gonna fast forward here towards the end of this drive, which was an 8-play, 53-yard drive in 5 minutes and accomplished nothing. Mac Jones had a deep pass deep right that was intended for Devontae Parker. It was intercepted by Holland. It was deflected off Xavier Howard's helmet. This could have been caught by Parker. I think realistically Parker could have caught this. I don't see how he would. I don't see how he wouldn't have if Howard didn't grab him for the last 15 yards of that play and held on to him for most of the time. I mean, you could have gotten away with a holding call there or illegal contact or a pass interference call. Was never called. Yes, the ball was deflected, but it was thrown to. It wasn't like it was tipped in the air. I mean, granted, it was deflected, and I guess it's hard to call a PI in that situation, but you can call a holding play. You can neglect that whole interception, that 32-yard reception out of the end zone, taking it down to the Miami 29. You could have done that. But that point, though, I might as well get back into how this drive started. It started with Mac in shotgun range. It started off with Mac throwing it to Jacoby Myers for 9 yards. Harris ran it for 12. Harris ran it for 3. Jones threw it to Harris for 8 yards. Stevenson was running it to the Miami 35 for 8 yards, getting it to the 43. And Stevenson ran up the middle for 2 yards. I mean, there was a lot of ways of looking at this, really. And then you had Jones deep right to or short left, really, to Hunter Henry. He was pushed out of bounds. Not much there to that drive other than that interception there, which I already just recapped there. First possession for Miami, Tua incomplete pass to Tyreek Hill. Tua got it to Ingold instead, the fullback. Tua next play had a pass to Tyreek Hill for 5 yards. Running play for Chase Edmonds for 2 yards. Got enough for the first down there. Or actually got good enough for 2 yards there. Edmonds ran for 7 yards there, shy of the first there. Couldn't get the play going. There was an offsides call against Carl Davis there on a 4th and 1. Miami was trying to go aggressive here and go for it early. Tua passed the ball to Tyreek Hill for 23 yards. John Jones forced a fumble, but the ball went out of bounds. No huddle there. Chase Edmonds ran up the middle for 5 yards. Duggar and Bentley on a tackle. Morrison got his first run with the Dolphins and lost a yard. And then Tua later on a 3rd and 6 got strip sacked from behind by Deatrice Wise Jr., which set up the field goal, made it 3-0. Now, in this case here, the next drive was a punt drive for the New England. But I will say this though about Miami, though. The fact they couldn't capitalize on a touchdown drive right now for Tyreek Hill on that play. And really the way Tyreek Hill was basically neutralized in this game, as he only got 8 catches for 94 yards. This was a game plan that, we're not holding to under 3 catches a game, but because they're going to do for the short pass play, they're not going to go long against this guy because Tua doesn't have the arm to do it, which this was proof right here. And I think New England was willing to risk giving up the yards against Tyreek in this scenario than allowing the deep ball down the field, because there's no way of overthrowing Tyreek Hill. Tyreek had 2 drop passes in this game on the short passes. That's really about it. But other than that, I mean, they neutralized Tyreek for most of the game. They didn't allow him to get deep, which is good enough, I guess. And really, I don't think the Dolphins really tried to do that in that scenario here. But I think in this case, if they would have, then it would have been a 7-0 drive at that point for them. Stevenson ran for 7 yards there. Phillips and Roberts on the tackle. Stevenson had another run again for 12 yards. Mac Jones had a pass down to Stevenson again for lost 3 yards there, was tackled by Melvin Ingram. Jones had a pass at Montgomery for 7 yards. Later on, it was on a 3rd and long after a false start penalty. Jones threw it to Nelson Aguilar on a screen play, ran for 17 yards. Next play, Jones got sacked, lost 7 yards there. Montgomery lost 2 more yards, and then Mac once again threw it to Hunter Henry for 9 yards. Was not enough for the first, well short of it. They had a punt. That sack was both on Brown and Strange. I don't know how you don't double team in that scenario, how you don't sense that blitz coming. I think you could have double teamed there. Either way here, you could have gone even with this, because this was a bad play. It was that simple. Just a bad play all the way around. 8 plays. You got in Miami territory, and you got nothing out of it. So that was that. Dolphins' next possession, Tua had a pass to Tyreek Hill for 5 yards again. Tua had another pass to Tyreek Hill for 4 yards. It got to a point where it was repetitive at this point, that like the short pass plays. And really, Tua just trying to find trust in Tyreek Hill, which I don't get how you trying to find chemistry now in this scenario. But I guess in this case you have to. Ingold ran for 2 yards for a first down. Judon with a tackle. Morstead ran for 3 yards there. Jackson got injured there. The offensive line was injured during the play. Tua threw an incomplete pass deep left. Tua had a short pass play to Chase Edmonds for 11 yards for a first down. Tua now to Smith for 14 yards. Tyreek Hill had a sweep route right there on the on the left-hand side. He ran that for 6. And then Chase Edmonds was running to the right, lost 7 yards there. Tua threw a short pass to Edmonds again. He ran out of bounds, well short of the first, and then Dolphins had a punt. Next possession didn't take long. Mac Jones incomplete pass, and then Mac Jones loses 9 yards, loses the ball from Brandon Jones. Melvin Ingram with a recovery, touchdown, Miami, 10-0 Dolphins. Now at this point, a lot of bad possessions there. You could blame this on Trent Brown. Trent Brown was not the same after that particular play. He allowed that play to happen. You could say, I think it's miscommunication from the offensive line to the quarterback, or the coaching to the offensive line, the scheming right now, who's calling that scenario play there. Bottom line there, Trent Brown should have done a better job diagnosing the play. Or Hunter Henry should have done a better job blocking it and taking the guy out. Not necessarily chop blocking him in this scenario here. They could have adjusted the call here. There was a lot of audibles called in this game. And I figured, and I'm hearing Mac, his mannerisms and all this stuff. It was Peyton Manning-esque. I'm not saying he's the next Peyton Manning, but just his attitude already is Peyton Manning-esque at this point. Thinks he can get every call, loses his temper, changes the play, screws around with the defense a little bit. That's what we saw a little bit out of Mac in this game. Now, it wasn't at like full throttle kind of mode, but I'd say about 15, 20% of that game was mainly that Sunday. And I just thought to myself, that was interesting. After the punt there by New England on the next position, Miami gets it here. This is on a fourth down here. They went for it on 4th and 7. This was really the whole thing that I thought changed the whole game and made sure that New England was going to lose this game. 4th and 7, Tua drops back, throws the ball to Waddle to the left. 3 safeties around him. Waddle catches it. They all hit each other, the safeties and defensive backs. McCourty, Duggar, all of them get hit there. I think it was Phillips. I don't know if it was on that play or not, but it was Duggar, it was McCourty, and I think it might have even been Mack Wilson. Actually, no more I think about it. It wasn't even Adrian Phillips. It was Wilson, and they all collided with one another. Waddle gets an easily touchdown, not even touched, nowhere near for the last 20 yards of that play, and it's 17-0 Miami. Third quarter, Patriots right. This is late in the third quarter here right now. Harris runs for 6 yards. Mac Jones shotgun again to Devontae Parker for 9 yards out of bounds. That's good enough for a first. Harris up the middle for 12 yards there. That's good enough for the first there at the 35. Harris again running up the middle, no gain. Jones and Wilkins on the tackle. Harris runs up the middle. I'm sorry, I'm repeating the same play here. Mac Jones passing a short left to Ramon Stevenson, pushed out about at the 40. Howard was going to push him out there. Mac Jones had a short pass play to Jacoby Myers there. He had some great catches in this game. I will say that. The first catch early in the game, the other catch in the game, good enough for 12 yards there. Mac Jones passed short to Nelson Aguilar for 6. Miami got a deep defensive penalty, which led up to a Mac Jones short pass play to Jacoby Myers for out of bounds for 7 yards. Stevenson ran to the left for no gain. Harrison ran up the middle for 2 yards. 4th and 1. Mac Jones trying to find Devontae Parker in the end zone. Incomplete there. Xavier Howard called for legal contact. This time around, he was called for legal contact. Wasn't called for it the first quarter. Called for it late towards the third. That set up a first down, conversion there on a 4th down play. Mac threw it to Joano Smith for 15 yards there. It kind of set up really for Mac to Ty Montgomery on 3rd and goal for a touchdown there. Just an easy rolling touchdown for Ty Montgomery, which made 17-7. Dolphins kick a field goal, and I'm going to fast forward here to the downs play right here. This was right here at 4th and 3. Mac Jones trying to throw a deep middle to Hunter Henry. Henry drops it here. It was not meant to be in that moment there. Patriots got one last chance here to make something happen. Jones throws it to Nelson Aguilar. Kuatu, who had a fabulous game, forces the fumble, recovers the fumble, and Miami wins the game 20-7. This was a game where it was completely ugly from the word go, I think, for New England. I think in this game, Kuatu was probably the best defensive player for Miami in this game, along with Xavier Howard and Obago here. Howard, who had excellent coverage of Devontae Parker all day. Parker could not get open against him. Couldn't get any separation. Was not a good day for Devontae Parker. Only had 1 catch for 9 yards in this game. But Dolphins defensively, though, I will say this, though. For Kuo yesterday, 3 tackles alone, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble. Just a menace, really, in the defensive side of things. And I think he's a tad bit underrated, I think, for Kader Kuo. This is his first year at Texas A&M Conference. This guy was a menace yesterday and got in wide receivers' heads yesterday. Obago at one point had 7 tackles in the game, 3 by himself. 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 2 quarterback hits in the game. I think at one point Jones was hit with roughing the passer call where he may have injured his back. His back did come back negative from the X-rays. That was all well and good. Didn't go to the podium though. Said yesterday his health was a priority. That was more important. Apparently, that's a league rule. I guess you had to go in there whether you're injured or not. I guess I figured that was a rule anyway because of the amount of times that people have been fined for either saying things to media that are inconstrued and inappropriate or just not showing up to do it. In this case, that was one of those scenarios. But yeah, there were a lot of mistakes yesterday. The interception yesterday by Jones on a bad throw. Not much of a bad throw, really, but a decent throw, really. Other than that, I mean, I watched this game back, and it's just like I watched how this developed. New England just did not look like they were ready. They weren't ready for Miami's defense. That was really the main focus in the game, really more than the Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle show. In fact, Waddle just basically put the game to bed. I mean, Tyreek got his moments. He was targeted 12 times yesterday, and there was times yesterday where he couldn't get the grab yesterday. Jonathan Jones did a good job covering him. There were some points yesterday where he was just double teamed. Like there was points yesterday where Tyreek Hill could not get open, except on short plays. So I think he's already been figured out at this point. And I think every time New England plays them, they double team the guy. So I don't understand like why all of a sudden the rest of the league can't figure this out already. I mean, they've already figured this out in game one, and even though you still lost the game, you figure it out in game one. Kudos to you. Waddle was triple teamed yesterday. For most part of this game, this was really all about Tyreek Hill getting his targets yesterday. It was target practice. There were some bad throws by Tua yesterday. At one point, there was one call that should be called for intentional grounding. It never was. He never left the tackle box yesterday. Other than that, Tua did pretty decent. I mean, he did pretty good for what he had yesterday. He was sacked 3 times yesterday. Jones was only sacked twice in this game, which I still couldn't believe. The running game, honestly, wasn't really that great. Wasn't really a runaway here. Myers had 1 carry for 7 yards yesterday. Stevenson had 8 carries for 25 yards. Damian Harris had 9 carries for 48 yards. Mac Jones had 21 for 30, 213 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Tua had 270 yards throwing there on 23-33. Sacked 3 times. No interceptions yesterday. Not really much to say here. Almost a fumble loss yesterday, though. I will say that, though. Almost a fumble loss yesterday. There were a lot of fumbles yesterday by the New England Patriot team yesterday. And the Patriots, again, had too many mistakes on offense yesterday, too many turnovers yesterday for them to overcome. And really, they're not a team that's going to come back from 2 deficits. I'm sorry. They're not going to. And this pretty much showed it yesterday. Waddle on a 4th and 7 yesterday and that 42-yard reception when you had 3 defenses on you. Duggar at one point got injured yesterday in this game as well. So we don't know what the story is with that one just yet. I think he did come back in the game, though. But when he was in that play with McCourty and Wilson, and it was him, they all collided. And I looked at that play back. I'm like, oh, my God. That was pitiful. That was really pitiful. Saints-Falcons yesterday. Just going to put this in perspective for you. This was a game yesterday that was interesting. I'm going to get started into the second quarter after Taysom Hill's 11-yard run right there. Cordell Patterson gets in for 5 yards out, makes it 10-7. Falcons collect on a field goal, make 50-yard from Younghoe Koo, makes it 13-7. Younghoe Koo gets another field goal before the end of the half. Right now, it's from 40 yards out, 16-7. Third quarter, after a field goal drive by the Saints, Falcons drive the ball down the field. Marcus Mariota runs it in from 2 yards out, 13-10. After a Falcons field goal, fourth quarter, Michael Thomas gets a 3-yard touchdown pass from Jameis Winston. They go for 2. It's successful there. It's 26-18. Michael Thomas gets it again from Jameis Winston one more time. Makes it 26-24. 2-point conversion failed. Will Lutz collected on a 51-yard field goal. The Falcons tried for their home field goal. It was blocked. I believe it was by Manti Te'o, and he was able to get the tackle in the end. That's how the game pretty much came to a close. Saints come back and win 27-26. Winston yesterday was 23 for 34, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Marcus Mariota 20 for 33, 215 yards. You want to talk about getting revenge. And this was really not really hyped up in the game. But revenge games are usually made for guys that get traded or get moved. Winston's been waiting on his revenge for 7 years, where back in the day in week 1, where Winston was with the Buccaneers and Marcus Mariota was with the Titans, and Marcus Mariota embarrassed him. And Winston here gets his revenge, not only in a nice, classy way possible, right? Like you come back against an Atlanta Falcons team, they're up by 16 points. And Winston puts this together, this marvelous, interesting drive where he goes to his guy, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is back, first of all. There's no doubt about that. He got 2 touchdowns yesterday. He's back. He's back to being the number one guy in the NFC South, the number one wide receiver in the NFC South right now. That happened yesterday. I'm sorry, but it did. It was great. Yesterday, Jarvis Landry had 7 catches for 114 yards. Michael Thomas had 5 catches for 57 yards, 2 touchdowns. Olave yesterday, the rookie out of Ohio State, had 3 catches for 41 yards. Kamara did play yesterday, had 3 catches for 7 yards. Kamara didn't really do much yesterday. What was it? Taysom Hill had 4 carries for 81 yards yesterday. Mark Ingram had 4 carries for 22 yards. Kamara had 9 carries for 39 yards, and Winston had 2 carries for 9 yards. Now for the Falcons. Patterson went off yesterday. 22 carries, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. Marcus Mariota went 20 for 33, 215 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, no sacks yesterday in this game. Drake London had 5 catches for 74 yards. The rookie out of USC did pretty good yesterday. Targeted 7 times, got 5 catches. Not pretty good. Pretty good for him yesterday. Marcus Mariota, simply put it, just couldn't handle the ball yesterday. He had 2 fumbles yesterday. He lost 1. Ozarius lost a fumble. The wide receiver out of Florida, I think it's Zatachewis. Oh, I'm sorry, not out of Florida, out of Virginia. Olamide Zatachewis. I can never say the name right. I'm always botching names here, left and right here. Overall, yesterday, defense was good. Grady Jarrett had 1.5 sacks yesterday. Had 8 tackles overall in the game. Grant had 10 tackles in the game. Hawkins had 6 tackles. Walker had 6 tackles. Evans had 6 tackles. Terrell was good yesterday. Had 5 tackles in the game. He was good yesterday. 1 tackle. He had not really a lot of pass deflections yesterday, but he had a hard time against Michael Thomas yesterday, and it showed yesterday in this game. Anyway, so that's that game. Now I'm going to recap the Bears and 49ers. I'm not going to go along with that recap here, honestly. All you need to know is that Trey Lance absolutely sucked in this game. And he's not ready for the weather. That was for sure. It poured yesterday. They had 3 game delays yesterday. Trey Lance went 13-28, 164 yards. Just an ugly game yesterday that just was not good. Deebo Samuel had a fumble at one point in the game. He lost the ball. And the team turned it over there. Lance had a fumble, but he never lost the ball. He actually recovered his own fumble, which is probably the only good thing I can say about this game yesterday. Had 13 carries for 54 yards. Deebo had 8 carries for 52 yards. Deebo did not have a lot of action yesterday. 2 catches for 14 yards. Ayuk had 2 catches for 40 yards. Jennings. There was no Kittle yesterday, so I didn't change my pick because I figured the Bears were just going to be just as bad. But I didn't expect the weather to be as terrible as it was. Justin Fields had 8 complete passes out of 17 attempts, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Was sacked twice in the game. So was Lance. But I'm going to recap this game pretty quickly here. This was simple here. Deebo Samuel had a 60-yard run out, 7-0 49ers. I guess they're going right back to the running back, wide receiver, and tangent for him. Robbie Gould kicks a field goal, makes it 10-0 in the third. Perez gets a 51-yard touchdown reception from Justin Fields there. Really the only touchdown that was thrown in the game. Actually, I would say he had 2 in the game. He had 18 yards for Norris St. Brown that gave him the lead. Herbert got to put the game away with a 3-yard run, 19-10. Lance threw an interception late in the game. This all the way around was not a good game. Not a good game whatsoever. And it was late. It was actually before that 19-10 game. So they would try going for a 4th down. They couldn't do it. And that was the end of it there. So 49ers pick up their first loss of the year. This was surprising. I thought they could win without Kittle here. I thought the environment was good enough and the offensive line was good enough. It was just too many turnovers. And I think Deebo just don't gel well. I got to be honest. Deebo just doesn't gel well with Trey Lance. That's what it showed in this game. I think realistically they underestimated the Bears in this game. The defense was much better in this game, much more improved here. I will say this, though. The one breakout star here from that 49er defense, though, that actually played well yesterday in this game was the rookie out of USC, Havunga. I mean, he went off yesterday in this game like a nut job, and it showed in this game. I mean, he had 11 total tackles, 9 by himself, but this guy has got Troy Polamalu vibes all over him. Like the way he's aggressive, he's a safety. I think he's a strong safety at best. He's got a lot of strength. He had an interception yesterday as well, 1 pass deflection. He's all over the place. Taluna Hufanga, watch out for him because he's got a bright future ahead of him. Fred Warner did well yesterday, 6 tackles in the game for 4 of them by himself alone. Nick Bosa had 5 total tackles in the game yesterday, 4 of them solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, and 2 quarterback hits. He was all over Justin Fields in this game. It was a field day for the one and only Nick Bosa. But at the end of the day, wasn't good enough. This game was a wild one. Steelers-Bengals in Cincinnati, home opener for Joe Burrow, home opener for the defending AFC champions. TJ Watt had to lead the game. I'll get more to that in a little bit. Game started off, Minka Fitzpatrick pick 6, 31 yards out, 7-0. The Evan McPherson field goal there. Chris Boswell got a 20-yard field goal there. Later on, Najee Harris gets a 1-yard touchdown pass from Mitch Trubisky, 17-3. Evan McPherson kicks a field goal before the end of the half. Right now, there was at one point where Jamar Chase was going for a touchdown. This was early. This was towards early in the game here when it was like I think it was when it was early in the game right there when they were going for in the second quarter there. Jamar Chase, they ruled him down in the end zone there, but I guess they called it back. I guess I don't know why. Kicked the field goal there, made it 17-6. That was that at the half. Joe Burrow gets a 2-yard touchdown pass to Tyler Boyd there, makes it 17-14. Boswell gets a 48-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. Jamar Chase, fast forwarding here, gets a touchdown pass in the end zone there, ties up at 20. McPherson misses a field goal there, or actually was blocked by Minka Fitzpatrick. And this was the field goal battle right now. McPherson went wide left. Boswell hit it up the goalpost in overtime. And Boswell kicks in the overtime 50-yard field goal as time expired, 23-20. There was one bad thing that happened in this game. It was Joe Burrow right now. These were the interceptions. 1 there, 2 there, 3 there, 4 there. Then you had the fumble recovered by Pittsburgh. A lot of bad possessions right there by the Bengals, especially at that point there towards the end. I'm going to go play by play. I'm going to go by box score by this. Trubisky was great in this game. Started out hot in this game. 21 for 38, though, as he finishes up here, 194 yards. Not a bad day for him. Only got sacked once in the game. Joe Burrow got sacked 7 times in this game. Got picked off 4 times. Not a good day for him, but he did throw for 338 yards. Mixon was able to run some action today. 27 carries for 82 yards. No touchdowns there. Burrow had 6 carries for 47 yards. And Sam Perry had 1 carry for 4 yards. Team overall rush for 133 yards altogether. Jamar Chase, 10 catches for 129 yards and a touchdown. Mixon had 7 catches for 63 yards. Hayden Hurst, 5 catches for 46 yards. He had a tiptoe caught pass right there on the sidelines there. It was a great catch, unbelievable catch that he made yesterday in this game. T. Higgins left the game with a concussion. He had 2 catches for 27 yards yesterday. It was a battle yesterday in this game. It was an absolute freaking battle. Steelers had a 3-and-out. Bengals had a pick 6, had a field goal, a punt, a fumble, a field goal again, an interception, a touchdown, another interception drive right there. It was just too many interceptions. It was too many interceptions to overcome here. I think the Bengals. It looked like it was going to go the Bengals' way late in the game. It got to a point where it was not good. It was not a good game yesterday going forward here with them. The touchdown in the end, before the end of the half right now, that wasn't called, that one, that was early. I think that was actually, now the more I even think about it, right when they kicked the field goal here. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, wow, they actually did not call that a touchdown. But this is what the controversy comes in here. This was after the missed field goal. So they left so much time left in this play. They had a fumble that was recovered by Sam Perry yesterday. They couldn't advance it. They left so much time for Trubisky to drive down the field again. With knowing how tired your defense is, you let the clock run down and you pin them deep. Not only did they do that, they punted with about 1:05 to go. It was a touchback. And led with Trubisky throwing it to Johnson, throwing it to Freemouth for 10 yards. And then you had the spiked ball. You get the 53-yard field goal set up for Boswell, and he nails it. This was bad time management yesterday by Zach Taylor and the Bengals towards the end of this game. Especially if at this point, if you're playing for the tie. Or you try to pin them deep and try to cause a safety. You could have done that. There's a lot there you did wrong there in this game. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to hurt you. It's going to haunt you, really. Eagles-Lions, I did predict this was going to be a shootout yesterday. I was off by the score in this game. But it was a shootout in this game. It really did start out with Jamal Williams and the Lions kicking it off right now. They had a nice drive going on right now. Goff had a pass to Swift he lost a yard there. Swift then later on came out of nowhere and just ran it for 50 yards. Tackled by Darius Slay, the former teammate for the Eagles, or for the Lions, excuse me. Then Jamal Williams ran up the middle for 7 yards there at their 50-yard run. Later on, Goff had a Swift ran out the middle for 11 yards there. 39, Goff had a pass to Hockenson for 9 yards there. First down there. Later on, Jamal Williams ran out the middle for 4 yards there out. And the red zone lines are up 7-0. Now, Eagles tried to go for it here. Had an interesting start to their drive. So they had a run by Hurts, was pushed out of bounds for 8 at the 30 for 8. Scrambles again up the middle for 11 yards. Hurts throws an incomplete pass. Hurts throws another incomplete pass. You have a false start penalty. Hurts scrambles for 16 yards, gets the first down, right? Sanders runs up the middle. This was a lot of running. I will say that for this game. This drive started out mainly with runs on this play and a couple of passing plays that didn't go his way. They try to go for it on 4th and 5 here to get to A.J. Brown. Does not work out. Incomplete. Turnover on downs. Lions go 3 and out. Next drive. Hurts to A.J. Brown for 10 yards. Now a false start penalty. Hurts again to A.J. Brown for 18 yards. Hurts again. Runs it out of bounds. Detroit holding call. Offensive holding call against them. So it actually was 2 penalties. It was 1 penalty. They lost 10 yards there. Hurts again to Sanders for 11 yards. Hurts scrambles left for 10 yards. Gets the first down. Hurts again to A.J. Brown for 18 yards. And then Hurts again to Gainwell for 4 yards there. That's the end of the first quarter. Drive continues. Let's get down to the red zone here. 4th and 1. Jalen Hurts runs up the middle for 1 yard out. And this is after he had passing plays at A.J. Brown. By the way, A.J. Brown in this game went 10 catches for 155 yards in this game with no touchdowns. Just FYI. Devontae Smith, no catches in the game at all. I don't know what the story was yesterday with him yesterday, if he didn't play yesterday or what. What happened, I have no idea. Detroit again, 3 and out. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown again for 12. No huddle. Miles Sanders runs up for 13 yards. No huddle. Sanders again up for 8 yards. Once again, Hurts incomplete pass, throw the ball away. Hurts again. Short left pass play to Goddard for 27 yards at the Detroit 6. Delay a game penalty there, sets him back 5 yards. Hurts scrambled again. And Sanders one more time, runs it up the middle. Touchdown, Philadelphia, 14-7. Pick 6 by James Bradbury right now. Returns it back 27 yards. Makes it 21-7 Philadelphia. Detroit capitalizes next possession with their drive. Going to fast forward here. This was on DeAndre Swift, 4th and 1. Runs it in from 7 yards out. Too easy. DeAndre Swift in this game had 16 carries for 144 yards and a rushing touchdown this game. He went off in this game. I think a lot of fantasy owners may have missed him here. There was a lot of hype behind him, surprisingly, by Detroit Sports Radio, but I just didn't think realistically he was worth the hype. So I don't think that's why. I don't think that's why I didn't bother with him this year in fantasy this year. I didn't really bother with fantasy altogether. But if I had to go through fantasy, I'd say, not so much. He has some games once in a while that made people scratch their heads. So it's just wasn't going to get into that. Eagles next possession for the Eagles. Gainwell for 6. Hurts again passing the Gainwell for 8 yards. Hurts sacked back at the 32 for loss of 4. Hurts scrambling to the left for 10 yards. Jalen Hurts again, deep right to A.J. Brown for 54 yards, gets it down to the 4. This was a great pass by Jalen Hurts yesterday. Excellent throw by Jalen Hurts. That set up the field goal they made 24-14 at the half. Second half, Philadelphia has the ball. They're going crazy here. This drive here was interesting here. It was all Jalen Hurts right now. Jalen Hurts was money. This was really what won in the game. This was this drive right here. Pass short left to A.J. Brown for 5 yards. 10 yards to A.J. Brown again. Gainwell up the middle. This was a lot of no huddle in this game. It tired out Detroit's defense, and it showed. Gainwell again up the middle for 1 yard. Harris and Hutchinson on the tackle. Hurts again for 7 yards for Pascal. Sanders right end push out of bounds. Penalty was on the lines for unnecessary roughness. That penalty hurt him. It really did. Hurts scrambled up right to the right for 8 yards there. Gets it right to the Detroit 6 yard line. Gainwell again 2 yards out, runs it in 31-14. Later on, Detroit again. They have a night, and that's play considered for Philadelphia 10 plays, 82 yards, 4 minutes, 39 seconds. Detroit had a 14 play, 75-yard drive, 6 minutes, 12 seconds. This was an excellent drive by Jared Goff. And you want to know what it ended up with? Goff throwing it at St. Brown for 4 yards out. Makes it 31-21 Detroit. Now, Philadelphia puts the game away with a Boston Scott up the middle 1 yard run, 38-21. Detroit, one more time, gets another opportunity right now. TJ Hockenson gets an 11-yard touchdown play. Philadelphia challenging the play stands. It was a great catch right there. Nice keeping the feet in bounds right there. Makes it 38-28. Another touchdown there. Last hurrah there. Detroit gets a last hurrah. 22 yards out for DJ Chalk in this game. Unfortunately, Detroit's magic ran out as Philadelphia was able to put the game away. 38-35, Philadelphia beats Detroit. That was a huge win. By the way, I forgot to mention TJ Watt. I didn't even mention this in the intro. TJ Watt did injure his torn pec muscle. Was going to be missing the year. I wanted to get back to that Pittsburgh one just for a second right now because I did miss the injury there. Najee Harris hurt his foot, but he'll play in week 2. TJ Watt was expected to miss the rest of the season. However, he's not going to go through the surgery at this point. He's going to try to play through it, or he's going to have a minor surgery that doesn't really take him out for the rest of the year. But he'll be out for 6 or 7 weeks. So that's a positive right now if you're Pittsburgh. For Philadelphia, though, I will say this, though, about Philadelphia yesterday and what I didn't like about this game. I thought it was too much focus on A.J. Brown. A lot of teams probably watched this game afterward and said, if A.J. Brown's the main focus here and Devontae Smith is a complete afterthought here right now, this makes it easier for A.J. Brown to get covered. It did. I'm sorry. Detroit's not a good enough team to showcase that and say, oh, they're dominant. They're so good. Especially when it's all about Hurts and A.J. Brown in this game. That's all this was about. And not even throwing a touchdown in this game and really having 5 rushing touchdowns in the game. And they're all by Hurts, by Scott, by this, by it just Gainwell, Sanders. I mean, it makes you wonder, was this team taken seriously after the game? And especially if you're allowing 35 points against Detroit. That makes it even worse. By the way, Derek Barnett tore his ACL for Philadelphia. He's done for the year. I don't know what play it was on. I did not watch how that happened, but I just gave you the highlights of it just now, play by play here. Not a good game yesterday by Philadelphia's defense overall in this game. I thought it was pretty shabby here yesterday. Not a lot there shown. Detroit, though, I mean, especially on that 50-yard run, that's a problem right there if you're allowing that right out of the gate. Excuse me. But all in all, this game, Hurts threw for 243 yards yesterday. No touchdowns, no picks. Goff yesterday had 2 touchdowns, 1 pick on 215 yards throwing, 21 for 37. Swift had 15 carries for 144 yards and a touchdown. St. Brown had 8 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown. Miles Sanders had 13 carries for 96 yards for Philadelphia and a touchdown. And A.J. Brown finished up with 10 catches for $155. Goddard had 3 catches in the game for 60 yards. Gainwell had 2 catches for 12 yards. Devontae Smith was targeted 4 times in this game. And those 4 times, he could not make a grab in this game. I actually was surprised he was targeted in this game. I actually missed that. So, no turnovers in this game. Slade had 6 total tackles in the game. Epps had 10 total tackles in the game, 1 for a loss. TJ Edwards had 7 tackles in the game, 5 by himself. Derek Barnett in this game was hurt in this game. I don't think recorded even a tackle in this game. Graham had half a sack yesterday and a tackle. Was able to get 1 quarterback hit yesterday. A lot of pass deflections yesterday by Edwards, by White, by C.J. Gardner-House, who was traded by New Orleans into Philadelphia. His debut was good. He had 5 total tackles overall in the game. I think he helps out Philadelphia's defense a little bit in the secondary, I think. But as far as the rest of this team goes right now, they're just the same team. It's just like replacing one bad player with a player that's trying to find themselves. And that's what C.J. Gardner-House is there for in Philadelphia. This really proved yesterday that Philadelphia does not have a defense. If you're allowing this much against Detroit, that's a problem. I'm sorry, but it really is. And I don't care how good Jared Goff is. And in this scenario here, it's the Lions. And I should probably go back to Aiden Hutchinson yesterday, his rookie performance yesterday. He was pretty solid yesterday, if I may say so myself. He had a pretty good showing yesterday. Hutchinson yesterday really was only on a few plays there and there, but just solid debut. Not much to showcase there with him. Only 1 tackle in the game. Not really used as much. I think he was exposed a little bit in this game. I think Philadelphia's offensive line did a good job of not allowing him to do too much in this game. Solid debut. I guess they'll gotten the starting job, but Overall, nothing special. Walker had 13 total tackles, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 quarterback hit in the game. Okuda had it. I think Okuda had a career day. I mean, 10 tackles all in all, 1 pass deflection. That was that. The rest of the Lions defense, it's just the same. The Lions are the same Lions. They're just not that good. They struggled a lot. Baltimore Ravens taking on the New York Jets Sunday. Lamar Jackson kicked it off with a 25-yarder to Devin Devonry, made it 10-0 after Tucker kicked a field goal in the first quarter, made it 3-0. At the return line field goal for 45 yards out, third quarter. Devonry one more time, 17-yard pass play from Lamar Jackson. That was it. Late in the third, this pretty much put the game away at that point. Rashad Bateman gets a 55-yard pass from Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson on a day, 17 for 30, 213 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Was sacked twice in the game. Kenyon Drake had 11 carries for 31 yards. Lamar Jackson had 6 carries for 17 yards. Davis had 2 carries for 11. Hill had 2 carries for 4. No J.K. Dobbins yesterday, even though he seemed to be fine. They didn't want to risk anything. Bateman had 2 catches for 59 yards and a touchdown. Devonry had 4 catches for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Targeted all 4 times, caught all 4 balls. Mark Andrews yesterday, 5 catches for 52 yards yesterday, no touchdown. Was targeted 7 times. DeMarco Turner had 2 catches for 19 yards yesterday for the Ravens. The Ravens, all in all, were actually pretty solid yesterday. This was a pretty solid performance. Yes, it's against the Jets, but what can you say here? This was surprising. Joe Flacco went Rich Gannon, Tom Brady-esque like performance yesterday as a New York Jet backup starter yesterday. This was a game where Flacco just went out and balled. He had a pass to Corey Davis, he had a pass to Wilson there. Davis had 6 catches for 77 yards. Wilson had 4 catches for 52 yards. Elijah Moore had a great day with him yesterday, 5 catches for 49 yards. This is the best the Jets have looked. I'm sorry. This is the best they've looked. Breece Hall had 6 catches there for the rookie at Iowa State for 38 yards there. He had an okay day rushing, 6 carries for 23 yards. He was used more for receiving here in this game. Braxton Burrows had 5 catches for 37 yards. This was just all about Joe Flacco yesterday, just throwing the ball yesterday. It really was. He went 37 for 59 yesterday, 307 yards. By the way, not yesterday, Sunday. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, sacked 3 times. Had a good rating at the end of this game. Yet it came late. It was I would say most of it came around garbage time. Maybe they had 1 turnover there at the end of the game. Flacco, there was fumbles yesterday by Breece Hall yesterday. A lot of bad possessions by Hall yesterday. And 1 fumble yesterday, lost it. Conklin had a fumble. Wilson recovered a fumble yesterday. Other than that, I mean, all in all, the Jets were solid yesterday. They got a late touchdown at the end from Conklin. That was really about it. Conklin, had an okay game yesterday with him. 4 catches for 14 yards. They missed the extra point, 24-9. That's your final score. Ravens get the win. I mean, this was a Joe Flacco showing here, where I think you may argue right now could be on the trade block. I'm just saying he basically proved yesterday he can revive his career. And if his career was on CPR yesterday, well, he saved his own life. He gave himself CPR in this game on Sunday. And I think that this was a wonderful performance. I can't really deny it, really, because it was just that damn good. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. Now, this was an interesting game right here. I had Washington in this game, and I was 100% wrong for making them go. I didn't have Washington winning. I had Washington losing. But I was wrong about them going 0-17. I was wrong about Carson Wentz yesterday. Carson Wentz proved me wrong yesterday. Drive opened up with a solid drive on their end right now. 8 plays, 74 yards for Washington here. Started out with Wentz after Samuel run. Wentz for Samuel for 13 yards. Wentz again, Rodgers for 23 yards. Scrambled out the middle for 3. Wentz again for 26 yards out for Gibson. Gibson with a 1-yard run, 3-yard later on, 3-yard touchdown pass, makes it 7-3. Washington. This is after a punt from Jacksonville. Wentz threw it deep left. The Logan Thomas was incomplete there. Now, it was okay. Just missed the timing. It was a little bit off. Wentz next play now, recovers from that one, throws it for 11 yards. Runs it out. Johnson goes for a running play there right there. Unfortunately, goes backwards, loses 10 yards. Wentz recovers, throws a 9-yard pass to Curtis Samuel. They had a penalty on Walker for neutral zone infraction. That's it up for Wentz for a 12-yard play to Curtis Samuel on the 3rd and 5 right there. Samuel had a run around there. Nice little sweeper out there for 1. Jacksonville was not falling for this. Lloyd and Walker and Allen, Josh Allen, they were not falling for it. Josh Allen, by the way, who was great yesterday for Jacksonville defensively. He was awesome yesterday. Along with him and Travion Walker, they're turning into a really deadly combo right before the scenes here. A couple plays later, Wentz threw for 9 yards there to the Jacksonville 32. A couple plays later there, that one was again for 6 yards out. And then later on, Wentz threw a deep, incomplete pass to McLaurin. A couple plays later, they're roughing the passer call right now. Logan Thomas got it for 4 yards from Wentz. And then Dotson gets it out from 7 yards out. Second touchdown of the game for Wentz in the game. On a 14-play, 71-yard drive, Washington takes a 14-3 lead. Now at that point, punt, fumble, which was recovered by Jacksonville, which led up into a missed field goal. End of the half, it's 14-3, Washington. Later on, Jacksonville here, this is what gets interesting for Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence had a great day here. Let's just put this in perspective. He had a great day yesterday, a great day on Sunday. Was a great performance on his part. Short drive here, ended up being a 3-yard pass to James Robinson there. In this game here, he had 24 for 42, 275 yards, a touchdown, and a pick yesterday in this game. Missed the extra point, however, though. Oh, I just lost the game there. I don't know what the hell happened there. There we go. After that touchdown there, after a punt, Jacksonville gets the field goal. It's 14-12. Wentz throws an interception, changes the whole momentum of the game. Jacksonville gets another field goal. It's now 15-4. Later on, Jacksonville, after the fumble, Robinson 11 yards out, 22-14. Later on, Wentz capitalizes. 49 yards out for Trey McLaurin. And that was an awesome touchdown pass right there for 49 yards out. I had an eyelash in my eye there. 2-point conversion failed. Wentz throws an interception. Actually, that was a game-winning touchdown, right? Oh, am I missing one touchdown here? Hold on. Later on there, Dotson gets a 24-yard touchdown reception for Dotson there. 2-point conversion good, 28-22. That's all they wrote there. By the end of this game, it was interesting here. This was another interception throw by Jackson. I think did Jackson get the interception? It was an interception thrown late in the game. So it was 28-22. Once the game went for I have the numbers right in front of me right now. The screen keeps bopping back and forth right now. I apologize. I'm having some audio issues. 27 for 41, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Only sacked once in the game. Antonio Gibson had 7 catches for 72 yards. McLaurin had 2 catches for 58 yards. Curtis Samuel had 8 catches for 55 yards and a touchdown. McLaurin also got a touchdown in the game as well. Dotson had 2 touchdown receptions in the game. I think this is his second year in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, or his first year. His first year out of Penn State. Dotson went good in this game. He had the negative, lost 10-yard running play there. Had 3 catches for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns there. This was the best Carson Wentz game in about 3 years. That's all I'm going to tell you. It was that good. And I take back everything I said about Carson Wentz losing his edge here. I take back everything I said about the guy going to lose his starting job to Taylor Heineke. He ain't going to lose that job. And he ain't going anywhere anytime soon. I think he is your franchise quarterback for the long haul here. If he keeps showing that, he still has a job in the NFL. He will still be playing in the NFL. He will have an MVP type of level. And this was an MVP type of performance yesterday from Carson Wentz yesterday. And I got to tell you right now, out of the games I watched for the NFC East over the weekend, I'm not too convinced that Philadelphia's got a safe, secure division lead at all. I'm sorry. I'm being honest here. I think Washington is just that good. I think they've got more weapons than people think. I think Philadelphia's defense won't be able to contain them half the time. This showed that Carson Wentz can put it on when he wants to put it on. And when they play Philadelphia in a couple of weeks here at home, who knows? All bets are off here. They play Detroit next week. I expect them to beat Detroit. I can't see how Detroit wins that game after the way they played in that game defensively against Philadelphia when they allowed so many running plays. And really when they allowed so much from A.J. Brown. I'm sorry. I mean, I know they shut down Devontae Smith, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you allowed too much. I mean, granted, you allowed 243 yards passing, but you allowed a lot of running plays too. And you cannot stop the run if you're Detroit. That is for sure. And Hudson can't stop the run on that team. And now next week you have Antonio Gibson and you have J.D. McKissic if you're Detroit. But this Washington Commanders team, I will say right now, if they start, let me see right now, for the next 4 weeks here, or at least 5 weeks here, they start undefeated here and they don't end up losing to anybody at all going forward, they're winning their division. Even if they start out 3-0 and they beat Philly and Dallas, they're gonna win their division. I may actually change my division winner here and say that Washington might win this division. Now, as far as where the record's going to go going forward, we'll see. But yeah, just got some breaking news just now for Deshaun, the defensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans, hand injury, torn, and he also for losing another season after he tore his quad last year. He will lose it again this year after breaking his hand. He is done for the year. That's just breaking news I just got just now on my end. Moving forward here, next game, Browns-Panthers. This was a Baker Mayfield revenge game. A lot of hype was going into this game. A lot of people were talking about this game, really. Obviously, Baker Mayfield was not happy after the game due to the fact that the Panthers lost the game yesterday. And it was on a Brian Burns the passer call. You can make your pick on this whole thing. I thought it was a bad call there. The timing was perfect right now. They call it roughing the passer. Baker Mayfield yesterday did not I'd say he just did not do a lot in this game that really caught my attention here. 16 for 27, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, sacked 4 times, fumbled the ball 4 times in this game. I don't know how the hell he recovered all 4 fumbles, but he did. Robbie Anderson had 5 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown yesterday, but this was just not a good Baker Mayfield performance. But I will say this, though. I'll get right to the scoring here. Kareem Hunt gets a 1-yard run out from there. Hunt again, 24 yards out, makes it 14-0. Christian McCaffrey gets a 1-yard run. He did not have a good game as well. He only finished the game up with 33 yards on the ground in this game for 10 carries in that 1 touchdown run, that 1 measly touchdown, meaningless run. Cade York gets a field goal right now, makes it 17-7 at the half. Third quarter, Cade York gets another field goal. Later on, Baker Mayfield gets a 7-yard run, makes it 20-14. Cade York again after that field goal there. Baker Mayfield, 75 yards to Robbie Anderson there, makes it 23-21 Cleveland. Panera gets a field goal there. After the passer call, Cade York gets a 58-yard field goal, sets it up. Time expires. Cleveland Browns with Jacoby Brissett on the road gets the win, 26-24. This was a rough run for Baker Mayfield at this point. And for what he said afterward of the game, saying, quote, he was there's more emotion in college than there is in the NFL. That's not going to be taken the right way. I think he was trying to say something different here. In this case here, it just came out looking like he was a sore loser. Like, yeah, I didn't really look at it this way. There's more passion in college football than there is in the NFL. I mean, that's true. He's not wrong there. But that was not the right thing to say in the media in that moment. And he doesn't know how to speak to the media anyway. But Nick Chubb yesterday was dominant yesterday, 22 carries, 141 yards. He was a tank yesterday. No one could stop him yesterday. He was running all over the place. Peoples-Jones, 6 catches for 60 yards yesterday. Kareem Hunt had 4 catches for 24 yards yesterday. He was the man yesterday, Hunt yesterday. Between Hunt and Chubb yesterday, that was tough to figure out. Amari Cooper in his debut targeted 6 times, only had 3 catches for 17 yards. Disappointing day for Amari Cooper. I really think realistically he's just basically another body at this point, is what it seems like here for this Cleveland roster. So maybe that will change when Deshaun Watson comes back. I doubt it. But yeah, the Browns looked good yesterday. Other than that, their defense looked, I thought, pretty scary to Baker Mayfield. I think he got the chills after playing against this defense, especially Myles Garrett. He had 2 sacks in the game, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 pass deflection. Got the hit on Baker Mayfield at least twice in this game. Clowney got a half a sack in the game, 3 tackles overall, 2 pass deflections, 1 hit on the quarterback. They got the shots in Baker Mayfield. That's all I got to say. They wanted to take this guy down. They wanted to hurt him. And he'll be sore after this game. Let me tell you that one. He's probably still sore now. John's got a half a sack in the game, 1 quarterback hit, 7 total tackles. Emerson Jr., Martin Emerson Jr. got some tackles in the game yesterday, 5 tackles overall. Grant Delpit yesterday had 3 tackles overall. Or not yesterday, sorry. I keep saying yesterday. It was Sunday. Tataki had 2 tackles. Harris had 2 tackles and a half a sack. 1 quarterback hit. That was really about it. Not much else to say there about that one, really. Denzel Ward had a tackle yesterday, pass deflection yesterday. Togal had a quarterback hit yesterday. He had a half a sack yesterday as well. All in all, in this game, there were 4 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss, 7 pass deflections, and 6 hits on the quarterback yesterday. He got hit 6 times, Baker Mayfield. And Delpit got the pick yesterday. So Cleveland was good yesterday. Cleveland did their job. They did everything they had to do. They're now 1-0 in their division. I think clearly right now that they are tied with Pittsburgh right now in their division. They're not the number 1 team in their division. Indy and Houston ended in a tie yesterday. This was an embarrassing tie to end this one. Roger Blankenship missed a 42-yard field goal towards the end of the game. But this was really all about Matt Ryan having a comeback here. 32 for 50, 352 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception here. But this was really all about Baker Mayfield leading the drives down the field. Jonathan Taylor runs it out from 2 yards out. Michael Vick ties the game with a 15-yard pass from Matt Ryan. Missed field goal there. Davis Mills, 23 for 37, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 of them was to, I believe, to O.J. Howard, 1 from 16 yards out, 1 from 22 yards out. Unfortunately, it ended in a tie. So, a bunch of what-ifs now at this point after this game here. Ended in a 20-20 tie. Giants and Titans went at it yesterday. Screw it. Sunday they went at it. I keep saying yesterday. It was Sunday. Today's Tuesday. Anyway, first quarter, Ryan Tannehill, 7-yard pass play from to Dontre Hillard for the touchdown. That makes it 7-0. Bullock gets a 46-yard field goal and a 23-yard field goal to make it 13-0 at the half. Second half, Saquon Barkley, 4-yard run out. Barkley went off in this game. He had a nice big run at one point in the game. 18 carries for 164 yards yesterday and a touchdown. Sterling Shepard gets a 65-yard pass from Daniel Jones. Ties the game at 13. He had a great day as well. Sterling Shepard, 2 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. And Daniel Jones had 17 for 21 for 188 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick yesterday for him. Later on, Dontre Hillard again gets a second touchdown reception for 23 yards out. Ryan Tannehill. And Chris Mayock gets the touchdown with about a minute 6 to go for Daniel Jones. Brian Dable goes for 2. It works out. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, easy peasy there. Giants are up now 21-20. Last chance, Bullock tries again for 46 yards out. Wide left, no good. Tennessee loses at home. They're home opener. The upset of the day, in my opinion, in Tennessee. Giants win 21-20. And Daboll was celebrating after the game, doing a little jig dance there. Wish I had the audio for it, but I don't. But yeah, this was a very surprising victory for the Giants yesterday. I'm not convinced the Giants are good. I'm not convinced the Giants are back here. This was just Tennessee choking in the end there. Ryan Tannehill overall, 20 for 33, 266 yards, 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry did nothing in this game, 21 carries for 82 yards there. And Phillips had 6 catches for 66. Derrick Henry, I'm telling you, when this Tennessee Titans team has less than 100 yards or less than 200 yards rushing from Derrick Henry, they don't win. It's just that simple. That's the formula right now of beating Tennessee here. And I think here Ryan Tannehill was trying to prove a point of why he's a starter in this game. And I think, honestly, he's keeping the job now going forward because I just can't see now with – because Tannehill was not the problem in this game. Tennessee did nothing wrong in this game at all. They led for most of the game. It was that defense yesterday. I'm sorry, but it was. I mean, you can't expect me to believe that Tennessee defense yesterday is going to be the reason that Tannehill loses his job. I don't buy it now. And I know it's just one game, and Malik Willis could start at any time. But Tannehill did great yesterday. This was a great performance on his part. This was probably the best that he could have done yesterday against this Giant defense. Derrick Henry, 21 for 82 yards. I think he could do better against this team. This was kind of disappointing. Enough said. I mean, I think in a nutshell, he could have done better in this game. I think he could have. I don't know why he didn't do better in this game. I don't know why they just didn't have him run the ball more here. It didn't really make a lot of sense here. And Tennessee's got no wide receivers. They need wide receiver help in the worst way. Yesterday, Phillips had 6 catches for 66 yards. Hillard had 3 catches for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. Traylon Brooks had 3 catches for 55 yards yesterday. Targeted 5 times. Was good. Good for the rookie yesterday. I think he was good yesterday. Hooper yesterday had 1 catch for 6 yards yesterday. He was targeted twice. Robert Woods, very, odd that he only got targeted twice in this game. Don't know what's up with that. I think if they would have targeted more in this game, I think he would have had more chances right now. I think he was just outplayed by that Giant defense. That's really what it came down to in the end of this whole thing. Daniel Jones had one fumble and lost a fumble there. Barkley had a fumble, but was not able to lose it there. Pinnock had a recovery based on yesterday here in this game. There was not really a lot of turnovers. One sack really for Tannehill. Didn't really lose a yard there. Phillips lost a fumble there, which was recovered. Dupree recovered a fumble by Daniel Jones. That was most in the game. Bird had a great game yesterday. 8 solo tackles. There's 12 total tackles in total. David Long Jr. was good yesterday. They're missing some key players defensively. This may be troublesome the rest of the way here. I can't see how Tennessee the rest of the way right now can do if Robert Woods is not in the game plan more or if Derrick Henry doesn't do more in these games. But Tannehill is doing his part. And I think that's the difference here in this game is that it's not really like it's like 50-50. Tennessee's got a good defense, but at the same time, they don't know how to make it for 60 minutes. And when you rely on Tannehill and you don't let him go for it and let him prove his point, or at least Derrick Henry do the damage, and you try it from 46 yards out, I mean, I understand in that scenario it was bad clock management in the end there, and there were not really a lot of timeouts left. I mean, I don't really say that was on time management per se, but in this scenario here, you have to nail that field goal if you're Randy Bullock. That was on Bullock in the end of this game. Trying to go for a 47-yard. It was 47 yards out. So it was wide left. It was with 4 seconds left. I get it. But in that scenario here, you got to go for the win. You got to go for a play going out of bounds here. There was the play calling here, I think, affected it too. I think Mike Vrabel should have gone for more plays. If Tannehill had more plays out of bounds, that was working fine for you before. So, I mean, I don't get why in this scenario here you couldn't go for more for that here in this scenario, but I don't know. Anyway, Chiefs, Cardinals yesterday. Not yesterday, Sunday. Sorry, I keep saying yesterday. Mahomes went off in this game. I'm just going to give you the highlights for Mahomes here. 9-yard pass to Mahomes for Kelce there for a touchdown. Clyde Edwards-Helaire with a touchdown from 3 yards out. Edwards-Helaire again for 4 yards out, makes it 20-7. Harrison Butker gets a 54-yard field goal on a bum foot, 23-7 there. Injured somehow, I think, on an extra point or something like that. I don't know how it happened. Foster gets a touchdown. McCall Harmon gets a touchdown. This was a great performance by him yesterday. Mahomes, 5 touchdowns, 360 yards. This was MVP Patrick Mahomes' performance all day long. Kyler Murray, not so great, not so hard. 22 for 34, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. At one point in this game, I really thought to myself, if they only score 7 points here on this home opener here, then Cliff Kingsbury is getting fired after this game. That was my thought process. But then they played for their coach. Marquise Brown got a 6-yard reception from Kyler Murray there. Zach Ertz gets a 6-yard pass from Murray. 2-point conversion failed. 44-21 was the final in this game. This game was Mahomes throwing dimes. I mean, this was daggers and dimes all day long. And I have to say here, from Mahomes' perspective at this point, you may argue right now, he may get the MVP claim right now. It's a race right now between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, but it is. I can't see how Mahomes just doesn't, battle for the rest of the way now. He's got the touchdown lead here. He's got the numbers now to back it up at this point. He's, as far as I know right now, the best quarterback right now in the AFC West right now, period. After yesterday, he's tired here about the noise, how the AFC West was just jacked and loaded with Russell Wilson, with Derek Carr, with Justin Herbert. And he just said yesterday, the hell with those 3 guys, and the hell with Devontae Adams going to the Las Vegas Raiders. He didn't want to come here, fine. I mean, he was throwing daggers, throwing deep balls. There was never a point yesterday where Mahomes was off. He threw 12 straight completed passes at one point, broke his record. The month of September is his. It's that simple. When he gets hot, it's really hard for him to slow down. And I just can't see how anybody could slow this Kansas City Chiefs down. This is without Tyreek Hill yesterday, and you played this great yesterday in your first game out. It's like Tyreek Hill at this point in Kansas City at this point. That's what they're all saying. Tyreek Hill? Exactly. So Mahomes did great in this game. Did it hurt the team yesterday, without Tyreek yesterday? No. In fact, I think Tyreek Hill was getting to be annoying at this point, an annoying pest. And I think that he was already on his way out doing this whole hitting his wife or hitting his kid kind of ordeal, pulling an Adrian Peterson here. I mean, there was a lot of things that Tyreek Hill did yesterday for Miami that made Miami good. But as far as the offensive schemes here, it's not the same. It's not the same without, with Tyreek and Patrick. Patrick is a much better thrower, more accurate, I think, than Tua. That was definitely proven yesterday as well in this game. Kyler Murray is still struggling right now with finding his identity on this Arizona Cardinal team. Without DeAndre Hopkins, this team's kind of soft. I got to be honest. And the defense, not any better. No J.J. Watt yesterday. They kind of were exposed yesterday. It was that simple. He was out with a hamstring injury yesterday, Sunday. It was that simple. So there you go. I mean, that in a nutshell right there. And I got to say right now, from what I saw yesterday from Patrick Mahomes, he was the man yesterday. There was never a point this guy was in trouble. The team overall ran for 128 yards altogether. Kelsey had 8 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown. Juju Smith had 6 catches for 79 yards there. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 4 catches for 44 yards. He is on the money here at this point. And you talk about a guy right now who was underrated in Green Bay and now has found his home in Kansas City. He's found the quarterback that's much better than Aaron Rodgers is right now at this point. That was proven yesterday. Aaron Rodgers definitely needs Martell's Valdez-Scantling back and needs Devontae Adams back. He probably wishes they were back right now. That was proven yesterday. Sky Moore yesterday had 1 catch for 30 yards yesterday. The only catch he really had in this game. Look, listen, Sky Moore is really not needed on this team. If it's going to come down to Juju Smith and Valdez-Scantling and Edwards-Helaire in this game, that's your tandem. That's it. That's your 4 right there. I mean, that right there in a nutshell. I mean, Sky Moore will have more opportunities, but as far as I can see yesterday, with Mahomes' eyes and the trust that he has in those 4 individuals, that's a dangerous combination. I think Kansas City's a dangerous team now going forward, and I think they might actually have a winning season this year. They might actually be a playoff team this year that actually wins their division, possibly. I'm not going to put any spoilers out there yet, but there was a lot yesterday that was in that Green Bay game I did not like. It was disappointing. I'm not going to get into detail in that game just yet, but it kind of proved yesterday that Martin Valdez-Scantling right now was a definite need for Green Bay yesterday. If it weren't going to get Devontae Adams, at least keep that guy around kind of mentality. And after yesterday, and I'm just surprised by this, that nobody even thought of this, but if that was your guy, if you're Green Bay, that was your number 2, and he was a number 2, whatever you can say about him, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is this, is that you look at this team right now and you see him performing at the level he's performing now. And he was targeted yesterday 4 times yesterday. He had the best game of his career yesterday. I'm sorry. Coming out of this game yesterday, Mahomes, everyone's saying, Mahomes had his best game. Yeah. He's had better games than this. Okay? He's had much better games than what he did yesterday. This was just the start. I mean, if this was him just shutting up the haters, he pulled a Tom Brady in this game. He pulled an angry, pissed off Tom Brady in this game. I got to be honest. That is. I mean, I didn't think I saw Patrick Mahomes. I think I saw Tom Brady yesterday. For once in my life, I think I saw a Tom Brady. I didn't see Patrick Mahomes showing off style here, being cocky with a no-look passes or behind-the-back kind of play. I didn't see any of that. And I honestly got to say right now, if he does less of that, he is going to take off running, would be the face of the league. If he does less of this fancy bull crap, then he is going to be just fine going forward, running that division for the next 5 or 10 years. And I just see it now with Kansas City. And this was just against a weak Arizona team that had no defense. I understand that. But they could do without J.J. Watt. They could do much better than J.J. Watt. They just let Kansas City run all over them. Run amok of them, really. It was pathetic. And from Kyler Murray's point of view, when you're putting in Trace McSorley in there, you're in trouble. You're in the doghouse with Cliff Kingsbury. If Cliff Kingsbury is already in the doghouse as it is, not by Kyler Murray. No. By ownership. So he's got on a short leash right now at this point, and this team's going to want to play for their head coach. They got to do a lot better than that. Marquise Brown yesterday had 4 catches for 43 yards and a touchdown. Ertz had 2 catches. A.J. Green had 2 catches, both combined for 27 yards. Both targeted 4 times in this game. This was really all about getting George and Brown part of the game plan. That's all it was. They got their chances, they got open, and they made what they needed to do. Benjamin, 3 catches for 33 yards. I didn't even realize I was still congested there. Holy crap. James Carter at one point had fumbled and recovered his own fumble yesterday. There were a lot of fumbles yesterday in this game. Not really much of the turnover department yesterday. There were a lot of fumbles, but nobody really fumbled it yesterday. Byron Murphy recovered a fumble that was by Kansas City yesterday. I think it was Juju Smith who fumbled it yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And it was. He had 2 fumbles yesterday and lost one of them. But there were 5 fumbles yesterday. A lot of fumbles yesterday. A lot of field goal doinks here, a lot of missed extra points, but a lot of blocks, but a lot of fumbles yesterday too. I was surprised with the amount of fumbles in this week 1 game. I will say that did surprise me. Raiders Chargers, we'll get right into that game. This was the Justin Herbert show. That's all you need to know there. Herbert, 1-yard pass to Xander Horvath. One to DeAndre Carter for 23 yards out, made 17-3. Brandon Bowen gets an 18-yard pass from Derek Carr. Bowen, the former Patriot, got Josh McDaniels make his head coaching debut. A lot of head coaching debuts. I forgot to mention it. Matt Alvarez for Chicago. Doug Peterson for Jacksonville. His debut was decent. There were a lot of head coaching debuts in this game. I may say so myself. Trey Lance's debut, not so hot. Just a lot of debuts. Gerald Everett, 18 yards out, makes it 24-10. Devontae Adams gets a 3-yard touchdown reception. Devontae Adams, I will bring this up though. He was on the man yesterday, Sunday. 10 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown. This was a guy who was targeted 17 times in this game. And all 17 times, it wasn't great, but he had 10 catches out of it. That's good in my book. Josh Jacobs for 10 carries for 57 yards. He was running the ball great Sunday. Brandon Bowen had 3 carries for 7 yards there. That's all it really was. Derek Carr, great numbers throwing-wise, 295 yards passing, 22 for 37, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. This was a hard day for him. Sacked 5 times. Not good offensive line play. In the end there, it was strip sacked from behind by Khalil Mack. That's how the game pretty much ended there. He was trying to go for a 4th down, last chance opportunity. Chargers get the win 24-19. They are 1-0. They are playing the Kansas City Chiefs in Gia Arrowhead Stadium Thursday night. So what my takeaway was from this game, Herbert was 26 for 34, 279, 3 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks. This was perfect. And I thought the defense here was unbelievable in this game. McKinney, Khalil Mack there forced a fumble there in the end there, but it was Tranquil, it was Callahan, it was Asante Samuel. This was all about playing well here to your best to your abilities here. This was really about making a statement here. And I think realistically they had no J.C. Jackson in this game. That was kind of sad. But I honestly thought without J.C. Jackson on this defense, was he really needed on this team? Because realistically, this was the best defensive performance I've seen from the LA Chargers. The worst game I've seen from Derek Carr yet. Derek Carr struggled in this game. That was pretty obvious. I will say right now the Chargers are for real. This is not an overreaction, in my opinion. This is just right on the radar here with this. Austin Eckler had 14 carries for 36 yards. It really didn't matter yesterday from the rushing perspective here, but Michelle did good. Keenan Allen left in the game with an injury, but he had 4 catches for 66 yards. Carter got a touchdown. Like I said, Everett got a touchdown. Horvath got a touchdown. This was a game yesterday where even if Keenan Allen gets injured here, and if Justin Herbert has a great day and has a great mood and plays like his life depends on it, then this is what you're going to get from Justin Herbert. He played like an MVP yesterday in an MVP race. I'm telling you, it's a three-headed monster race right now with Josh Allen for Buffalo, Patrick Mahomes for Kansas City, and Justin Herbert for the LA Chargers. You could argue right now that Herbert might win the MVP. I got right. I mean, I have Aaron Rodgers as my MVP. I'm still sticking with it after that one horrible game, which I will get into as of right now. But as of right now, at this point, it's a three-headed monster conference right now with Josh Allen for Buffalo, and you got the 2 AFC West teams for Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City and Justin Herbert. But this was a monster-headed game yesterday. And the Packers and the Vikings, this was not a good day for the Packers defense. This was embarrassing. Justin Jefferson went off his game 5 yards out, 36 yards out before the end of the half, made 17-0. This was A.J. Dillon yesterday got a 2-yard run. Greg Jefferson with the 2 field goals there. But other than that, it was the defense. It was Aaron Rodgers struggling again. 1 interception there thrown. Sacked 4 times. Could not get the protection that he wanted. Jordan Love came in late in the game. They had to pull Rodgers. Love went 4 for 5 for 65 yards out. No touchdowns there, no picks there. But it was a promising drive. It looked like they were going to score, come back, or make it at least a less than a 2-possession game. But it still been stuck in 2 possessions either way. But in that scenario there, it was a right move to pull Rodgers out of there. Rodgers was not having a good day. He sucked in that game. It was that simple. And you know it's bad when A.J. Dillon's your leading wide receiver. If that guy is your running back and he's leading in receptions, that's a problem. 5 catches for 46 yards for him, no touchdowns. He also ran for 10 carries for 45 yards. Aaron Jones, I only had 5 carries again for 49 yards out. That was it. The rest of this was disappointing. Tonyan had 3 catches for 36 yards there, targeted 5 times. Dubes had 4 catches for 37 yards, targeted 5 times. Watkins, 3 catches for 18 yards. That was terrible. That was a terrible performance on Watkins' part of it. Cobb was no better. 2 catches for 14 yards. But for Justin Jefferson yesterday, and many people can make the argument right now at this point, but he may be the MVP as well in the NFC. He's creeping up behind Aaron Rodgers right now for MVP. 9 catches for 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, targeted 11 times. It was phenomenal. Dalvin Cook had 20 carries for 90 yards. Kirk Cousins, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 22 for 32 throwing. Only got sacked once in this game. But just the Packers' offensive line was a problem. Not healthy, too many injuries, no Allen Lazard in this game. But I really think, though, even with Lazard coming back, this team's still in trouble. That he's not a good wide receiver. He's no Martin Valdez-Scantling. He's no Devontae Adams. He's no Justin Jefferson. He's no Odell Beckham Jr. You need a wide receiver. And I think Green Bay should go after Odell Beckham Jr. If he's not going to sign with the Los Angeles Rams, and they're going to stick with Allen Robinson, who's clearly not good enough for that offense, then Odell needs to be the team. They needs to be the guy to get on this team. That's all I'm going to say here. Because after what I saw in this game, this was a very disappointing Aaron Rodgers performance. And I honestly think right now at this point that there's a problem within that locker room. There is a problem within that organization. Because after this, I don't know how you don't say there isn't a problem. How do you not think at this point, with no Devontae Adams, which, by the way, made Allen Lazard and Robert Tonyan a factor for Rodgers besides himself. Now they're all lost. And I don't think Tonyan's got a shot of staying on this team next year if he keeps playing the way he's playing. And he's not – yes, he got targeted 5 times. That's great. But get open more. Block better. If you are down 4 linemen, you need to step up and block up more. There's no excuse for Rodgers getting pressured the way he was pressured in this game. I thought, honestly, this was a pathetic performance by the Green Bay offensive line anyway, even with those guys out. Someone's got to step up if one of these guys are still hurt, still coming back into week 2 next week. Because right now, I'm not so confident about the Packers beating the Bears next week. I'm just being honest. I can see realistic Green Bay getting upset in Lambeau Field against Chicago on Sunday night. I can really realistically see that happen. Because right now, it does not look good. It does not look good for anybody going forward. Aaron Rodgers played like absolute garbage in this game. He was not good in this game. That's all it was. It was awful. Awful performance. And really just out-coached. Kevin O'Connor just out-coached Matt LaFleur. I know you're going in there against a banged-up team, but you got to at least look like you know what you're doing. Kevin O'Connor knew what he was doing here. And I think the Vikings now at this point are on the chase to win the NFC North right now. And it all started with that game. And Justin Jefferson getting the MVP chance after this throughout the game, I got to be honest. That is a good sign, in my opinion, for this kid, because here's why. If he's getting that already after that one game, and Devontae Adams really wasn't getting that at all in Las Vegas, for Las Vegas fans, because the LA fans are just terrible, there's more atmosphere in Las Vegas teams than there are for Los Angeles teams. That sucks. So I'm just being realistic here. Packers don't really have much of a shot here. Buccaneers, Cowboys, all you really need to know about this game is that Dak Prescott broke his thumb. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. He's going to need surgery for it. Apparently, Jerry Jones doesn't think he's going to need surgery for it. He thinks he can play within the next 4 weeks. I don't see. I mean, unless I hear from the doctor's mouth or Dak Prescott himself, I don't believe it. I can believe from a TJ Watt's point of view because I can realize the guy's toughness. TJ Watt is a lot tougher than Dak Prescott is. I think it was on a play where I think it was either Devin White or Levante David's helmet he hit. I don't know who he was what was going after him, but Prescott was off all night. He had no Cedric Wilson on his team anymore. He went to Miami, but he had no James Washington and he had no Michael Gallup. Both out with injuries. This was disappointing. In fact, this may be the worst Sunday Night Football game of the entire year up to this point. Brady was no better. Brady had a hard night. And I think with Giselle being gone, all the distraction, all that drama and stuff like that, all the emotion, it got to him. All you really need to know about this game was that it just, when it really came down to it, Todd Bowles outcoached Mike McCarthy, despite the injuries. This was not a healthy Dallas Cowboy team. This was not well-adjusted coaching by Mike McCarthy's part. A lot of field goals there. At one point, Succop did miss a field goal. He went 4 for 5. Brady in this game went 18 for 27, 212 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. He got sacked twice in this game. Got hit a lot in this game, too. Leonard Fournette had 21 carries for 127 yards. No touchdowns for him. Mike Evans had 5 catches for 71 yards and a touchdown. Chris Godwin's out with an injury. He had injured his hamstring. Might be out for a few weeks. But this is really about Julio Jones. He ran the ball good. He caught the ball great. He's a great weapon for Brady. He can still make those grabs. He still got it, in my opinion. He needed to find a different quarterback who had a great arm. And Brady does have that great arm. Now, granted, it was very limited what Brady could do. I mean, Godwin had 3 catches for 35 yards. Jones had 3 catches for 69 yards. Gage had 2 catches for 13 yards. These guys need to step up more. There was no excuse for Brady not to have the night that he had last night. And Tampa Bay was just not good executing in the red zone, where it got to the point where Succop needed to come out there and kick the field goal. I'm just being honest. Dallas had a 3-0 lead at one point. They had the only lead in the game, the only great job they really had in this game. Elliott had 10 catches for 52 yards there. Prescott had 14 for 29, 134 yards. The one interception came on a bad play where I think he had I want to say it was either Schultz that was wide open on that play or it was Houston. I don't know who it was or who he was trying to throw to, but he was trying to throw. The guy was wide open, and Brown just missed it. I actually, it was CeeDee Lamb, now the more I even think about it. And he was trying to throw it to Brown or I think it was to Houston. And Antoine Winfield Jr. read the quarterback's eyes all the way. I don't know if Prescott just turned his eyes around and threw it that way afterward and didn't realize Winfield Jr. was right there. But he was following the quarterback and got the interception. And that was right after the missed field goal, which the Buccaneers capitalized and kicked another field goal. But, I mean, from this was all about Tampa Bay's defense. I mean, and it was really about Leonard Fournette in this game. And granted, Micah Parsons had an impressive game. I mean, he had 2 sacks on Brady and 2 tackles for a loss and 2 hits on the quarterback. He was in Brady's face all night in this game. Tampa Bay's offensive line, the middle was fine. I thought the middle wasn't really exposed as much. Donovan Smith went down with a hand injury. I don't know what his story is right now with his injury right now, but he was allowing a sack from Parsons. At one point, Shaq Mason allowed a sack and got to a point where he got bull rushed all night long. Worst was fine. Worst wasn't as dominant force as he used to be. I don't think he was as strong as he used to be right now, like he was in Iowa, like he was in 2020. I got to be honest. And even in 2021, this is one of the weaker games he's ever had in his career up to this point. Shaq Mason had his worst career game I've ever seen. All in all, I really got to be honest here. Tampa Bay, not looking promising with them. I think they would. I mean, they're playing New Orleans next week in the Superdome. I realistically think they still have a shot of beating this team. As far as shutting down Michael Thomas, though, it's going to be real hard. You finally have a healthy Michael Thomas. You finally have a healthy Saints defense. I think realistically they'll shut down the run here at this point. It'll be all about Jameis Winston's arm in this game and whether or not it's big enough with Michael Thomas to beat the Buccaneers. That's the real test for New Orleans next week against Tampa Bay. Brady's test, simply throw more than 212 yards. You're going to need to against the Saints defense. That's the real testament here because you're not going to be able to run against this team. That's a fact. And don't even bother trying to because they can shut down the run real quick here. It may not seem like a game with Cordell Patterson here. Granted, he ran for 120 yards against them, but realistically here with the Buccaneers and the way they're playing them right now and the way their offensive line looks, don't even try it. I wouldn't even try it in this case right now. It's a real test next week for that replacement center. Hansy, I think his name is right now, or Gorgon. That's a real test next week for him to block him against Cam Jordan. If I'm both those guys with the guard that has a tap like the center there, Hansy and Gorgon, double team the hell out of Cameron Jordan. That's all I got to tell you. If it's not those guys, if he lines up on the left side, let's say he doesn't sign up in the middle, because the pressure is really all about the middle for Brady. That's his weakness. But Wirtz and Shaq Mason, if I'm you, Shaq Mason and Wirtz, you help out. You double team Cameron Jordan. One of those guardmen have to do that in order for the Bucs to win next week. And I think realistically here, the Bucs will win this game. I don't see how they don't. But that is a game where it'll be very telling what we watch next week here. And I think realistically here for Tampa Bay, look, a lot's on the table right now for Tom Brady's career. This is his last year yet. If he plays right now like he played against Dallas right now, I don't see them winning. I don't. Do I still have San Francisco Buffalo in the Super Bowl this year? That's still in question. It may go back to Buffalo, Tampa Bay. It may go to Buffalo and Washington after what I saw with Carson Wentz playing at the MVP level. There's a lot there on the table. I think Carson Wentz right now, you can argue realistically right now, is another team you want to avoid in the NFC playoffs right now. With the way he's playing right now, I don't see him slowing down. I don't think this is just one game for Carson Wentz either. I really don't. I really believe that Carson Wentz was washed up. He was done. And I thought to myself, this Washington offensive line is no better. They're no better than what the Colts were last year with him. The Colts were actually a little bit better offensively, I thought. But I'm watching this right now from a good eye here. He got the monkey off his back with Doug Peterson. That's just the first step. You got Detroit next week against Jared Goff. You've had success against him before. You've beaten him before. You can do it again in Detroit. You have Philadelphia coming to your place, and you have against your former owner. And now it's a testament here because the question is now, can Philadelphia's offense outplay Washington's offense? I think Carson Wentz is a better quarterback. I think Carson Wentz will win that game. I think in a couple of weeks there going forward, and it's a continued march for Washington. Now, they go 2-1, it's okay. I still think Washington's a little bit better than Philadelphia here, and it showed because it proved to me that A.J. Brown has stolen Devontae Smith's shadow already. 4 targets against Detroit, and you can't get a catch there. That's inexcusable in my opinion. It really is. It could be Washington and Buffalo this year. We never know. Anything could happen. It could even be Washington, Kansas City. That matchup will be interesting, though. Carson Wentz versus Patrick Mahomes. Who wins that matchup? Right? Who wins that matchup? And right now, going forward, there's a lot of questions right now for Dallas right now. Does Jimmy G get traded to Dallas? Does Nick Foles go back to the NFC East and get signed and take place for Dak Prescott at this point and take Dak Prescott's job? Does Jimmy G take Dak Prescott's job? There's a lot there to digest with this whole thing. Hell, does Joe Flacco get traded from the Jets to Dallas after the game he had against the Baltimore Ravens defense, a defense that was fully healthy going into the game? Nothing wrong with that defense. And got 310 yards passing. If this wasn't a comeback story for Joe Flacco, I don't know what is. But that game, the way Flacco played, I thought was excellent. But it really is anybody's ballgame in Dallas right now at this point. Now, are they going to stick with Cooper Rush now at this point? Are they going to continue the Cooper Rush story all over again? Because Dak can't stay healthy. That's it. And that's why I didn't pick Dallas to win a division this year, because I didn't trust that division overall to keep their end of the bargain here. For Dallas, I don't trust Dallas to keep their end of the bargain keeping Dak healthy. I don't. And their offensive line's no better. I just don't think it is. That's just my opinion. I don't think they're any better right now at this point than they were last season or the last 6 years. I don't. Washington, though, has got to figure it out. That's all I got to say. Washington is the only team that's got to figure it out, in my opinion, in that division. Philadelphia's got to work at the Kings and get Devontae Smith involved more in the offense. And the defense has got to be better than what they were against Detroit. The Giants, to me, fluke win, in my opinion. I think this really didn't mean anything here. You're facing off against a Tennessee Titan team that really just, I don't really know what happened in that game, really. They found a way to shut down Derrick Henry. That was shocking. They found a way to really make the kicker look like a dunce. That happened. Tannehill still managed to throw 266 on you. That's still a problem. And that's above average, almost elite status quarterback. He's on the Phillip Rivers decline. That's all he's on at this point, except he's excelling above it. That's really the only difference I can say right now about Ryan Tannehill's game. Up to that point, I don't know what else to say about it because it's so hard to digest really on like on every game, on every level at this point that I watched this Giant and Titan team, I'm still trying to digest the loss that Tennessee's have because I think Tennessee's much better than what they are. But the problem is they run to Buffalo next week. Home opener in Buffalo, a lot of fanfare there, a lot of passionate fans, a lot of emotion there. A team that is on the run and on the drive. And right now, Tennessee's defense is not good enough, in my opinion, to stall Buffalo's momentum. I'm sorry. They're not good enough. They're not. And I think realistically, when you allow a big run by Saquon Barkley and a big passing play by Sterling Shepard here and allow Saquon Barkley to run 165 yards for a guy that hasn't been healthy in like 5 years, to me, that's not a good enough excuse for Tennessee to do this. They're not going to be able to stop Buffalo's offense. They're not going to be able to. Stephon Diggs, the way he exposed Jalen Ramsey, that's not just a one-time thing. That's not just Ramsey being bad for one day. No, this is Ramsey right now declining. This is the Jalen Ramsey falling off a cliff decline as one of the best defensive backs in the league. It is. Bobby Wagner at this point, showing his age, showing his career veteran year average numbers. It's showing. It's not the same as he was in Seattle. That's just not just one game. It's just a fact right now that, yes, you can put up the numbers as much as you want. It's not the same numbers. It's not the same play. You're in trouble at this point if you're Los Angeles defensively as well and offensively with their offensive line. There's a lot there to digest after that week 1 performance. And I got to say right now, from the 7 sacks that we saw in this game, and there were 7 sacks in the game against Joe Burrow and the Bengals here. And there was also 7 sacks in that Rams offensive line as well. Without Andrew Whitworth, you're in trouble. Cincinnati is way better than this. There's no excuse of why they allowed 7 sacks in the game. You took out TJ Watt. You still struggled. I thought this was a pathetic performance. I thought this was just a one-time thing. I don't think it's going to happen again. I'd be surprised if it does. I can't see Adams having more than 4 sacks in the game allowed. I can't see more than 4. And I'd say the next game, I'd say maybe 1 or 2. But if this happens again, then it's either an offensive line problem or offensive line head coaching problem. And I think somebody has to change things around in order for things to make sense here. That's my takeaway on the Cincinnati Bengals at this point. For the Rams, I couldn't tell you what the hell happened in this game, other than the fact right now that Matthew Stafford has gone right back to his old Detroit ways. We thought we got the LA version of Matthew Stafford. No, we got the Detroit version of Matthew Stafford in this game. And we got the Detroit version of the Detroit line offensive line in Los Angeles in this game. This was bad. And I think realistically, this is not just a one-time thing. Matthew Stafford just came off an elbow surgery at this point. Now you got to try to play safe here if you're Matthew Stafford here. That's not good. Cooper Kupp is the only best thing coming out of this Rams game. That was it. And I think a lot of ways at this point now going forward here, you're looking at this now from this perspective. If the Rams are still a playoff team, I think they are. But if they're losing to other teams like this later on, I'm going to be it's going to be very hard to convince me they are still that team. I'm sorry, but it's going to be really hard. Tampa Bay, as far as I'm concerned, they're fine. Brady's just got to be better. That's it. Let's get to Denver and Seattle, then I'll just wrap it up there with that. Very long show here. Seahawks win by 1 here. This was, like I said before, Will Disley 38 yards out from Geno Smith. Geno Smith in this game went off in this game. 23 for 28. This is probably the best Geno Smith game in his career. Just putting it out there. Best game he ever had in his career. He had 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rashad Penny had 12 carries for 160 yards in this game. Will Disley had 3 catches for 43 yards and 1 touchdown there. This was really all about Melvin Gordon turning it over in the red zone there on a fumble. Jerry Jeudy got a 69-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson in this game had 29 for 42 or 340 yards and a touchdown. That tied the game up at 10. Colby Parkinson with 25 yards out. McNair nailed 2 field goals, 1 in the second quarter, 1 midway in the fourth, or pretty much a little bit late in the fourth. They tried to go for it. They tried to go down the field with it. The problem is it was time management here. I think this was ridiculously bad. I think it was just as worse as the Bengals punting it with 1:05 to go in overtime and allowing that touchback to happen and not getting the clock to get all the way down. I think they could have forced a safety or a pick 6 if they would have pinned him beeping to 1 for Mitch Trubisky. He can't handle pressure behind his own end zone. He can't do it. This was just plain stupid. 20 seconds left. You don't go for it on fourth down. Russell Wilson, who's already thrown for 340 yards by that point anyway, I don't know why you don't continue this here. This makes absolutely no sense. This was ridiculous here. To me, this was a mistake. It was on, I believe the play was on fourth. On fourth and 5 here. You need 5 yards, and you're at the 46-yard line in Seattle territory. You have Russell Wilson. You have Jerry Jeudy. You have Melvin Gordon III. You have all these guys at your disposal, and this is what happens. This is how it plays out here. You can't trust Russell Wilson, your star quarterback, who is in a revenge game with 20 seconds left to make something happen, to at least get closer for McManus to nail a longer field goal or a shorter field goal here and get in that field goal range. They weren't even in field goal range at that point. And they still had time. And we've seen with history here what dumb special teams do with too much time left. And this was one of those cases where it was wide left again here in this case. It was no good, and that's what happened. Now, bottom line here now going forward, I don't understand why you couldn't go for a play out of bounds. Seattle's defense is not that good. That was proven here last night. I don't see how you can't say to yourself that that was a very stupid, bad game plan on their part here, and how they couldn't shut that down is beyond me. It's bizarre. It's stupid. I think that was a mistake. And I think Nathaniel Hackett is now the next Andy Reid after this. I don't see how you don't look at that and say, yeah, you're right. Because this may be the wrong coach for Russell Wilson after this. That's maybe an overreaction on my part, but this was a very bad start. And Russell Wilson getting booed, I will say that about Seattle fans. To all you Seattle fans out there that boo Russell Wilson, who gave you the best 10 years that you've ever had in this team, go screw yourself. You had 2 missed playoff appearances with Russell Wilson. One in 2017 when he went 8-8, and last year when they went 7-10. At that point, you're lucky you got the 7 wins with that team that they had last year. You had a banged-up team with 2 great wide receivers. That was it. You had no Will Disley last year. You had a banged-up offensive line last year. Russell Wilson was done with it. The owner could have cared less. I think they were just trying to rebuild. I think realistically here, without this. And they look at Bryce Young and say, he's taking your spot, man. I'm sorry. And maybe they were just trying to avoid Russell Wilson being the backup quarterback like Jimmy G is right now in Stanford right now. Listen, Russell Wilson being the backup quarterback in Seattle, that was never going to happen. And Pete Carroll kind of blames him for the loss they had in the title game. And yes, it kind of was his fault. You could have had Russell Wilson run there and get the touchdown there as well. You could have had a quarterback option there. You could have had a read option. You could have fooled everybody. Could have gotten in shotgun range, read option to Marshawn Lynch. Everything's gone to Marshawn Lynch. It goes right to Russell Wilson. You could have done that if you're Pete Carroll. Hell, I think Russell Wilson should change the play on the line. You already had a timeout called at that point anyway, right? I know I'm going back 7 years on this whole thing, but you get my point. But for you Seattle fans, why are you booing this man? He won you a Super Bowl championship. He got you to the NFC title game and to the next Super Bowl the year after. You lost the Super Bowl after that, right? And then you made the playoffs every year at that point. You were never out of it. You were out of it for one out. The year before when they went 7-10, that last year, the following year before that, you won the NFC West at 12-4. So I don't understand how you could have misconstrued this and say this guy betrayed you guys. He was never happy in Seattle in the end. He never got over that Super Bowl loss. You never allowed him to get over that Super Bowl loss. As a matter of fact, even when he was going for MVP back in 2019, which arguably I think he should have won that year, I think at this point it was kind of ridiculous that he was disrespected the way he was disrespected in the end in Seattle. And I think, honestly, that's more on ownership. That's more on Pete Carroll, in my opinion. Pete Carroll, it comes in today looking like the biggest tool bag after this game, rubbing it in Russell Wilson's face, basically. I know Russell Wilson didn't mind the boos, but I think he was offended. And he should be. But I think in this day and age here, Nathaniel Hackett became the next Andy Reid with bad time management. You talk about Patrick Mahomes overcoming that. I don't know how if you're Russell Wilson and you're starting to become the face of this franchise, how you don't let him in this day and age go for it on a 4th and 5. You're in Seattle. Do you realize the situation? This is beyond time management at this point now going forward. But do you realize the situation that you put your quarterback in at that point by taking him off that football field with no timeouts left and really still a really bad Seattle defense? And at this point, they look like the best defense alive today because they only allowed 16 points. Now, with this loss here, everyone's going to say right now, because of this, was it all because of the fact that they had no Tim Patrick? I don't think it really mattered. I think this would have been more difficult if Tim Patrick would have been in the game. Jerry Jeudy had 4 catches for 102 yards, 1 touchdown. Sutton had 4 catches for 72 yards there. Javonte Williams, the second-year man out of North Carolina, had 11 catches for 65 yards. He also had 7 carries for 43 yards in the game. Melvin Gordon III had 12 carries for 58 yards, no touchdowns there. All the way around, it was not a good night. Hamler played it tonight, targeted once. Don't know why he was never targeted again on that night. I don't know what the story was in this game, but there was a lot in this game that left a sour taste in my mouth. The fumbles. Melvin Gordon III fumbled it, lost it in the red zone. Javonte Williams, same thing, lost the fumble. Justin Simmons recovered a fumble after Randy Gregory knocked it out. I think it was out of DK Metcalf's hand. DK Metcalf, by the way, 7 catches for 36 yards. Lockett was had 3 catches for 28 yards. This is what you expect now at this point from DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett now going forward. Now, the question now here is this. I've been watching the NFC West this weekend. Does Seattle right now look like a team right now that's on the run right now to win their division? No. No, they're not. But Geno Smith looked a hell of a lot better than Trey Lance did. That's all I got to say. And I am surprised to hear myself say that. But I think Trey Lance, and I don't think this is just an overreaction. If Trey Lance keeps playing like this, and by the way, you know I found out from Trey Lance, but I learned from him after watching him play in weather environment, he's a dome quarterback. He only plays in the dome. Think about it. He played in North Dakota State. They never played outside. They played in a dome. Dome quarterback. Jimmy G played in the elements. He could have played fine in this game. He could have played a hell of a lot better than Lance did. But yeah, this was pathetic. Trey Lance looked pathetic in this game. Geno Smith looked a lot better here. Something is wrong with this pitcher. Okay? There is something wrong with this pitcher. When you have Trey Lance starting in this game and play like absolute garbage and sucked. And I know this is one game, and they have their home opener against Seattle this weekend coming up. But this realistically does not bode well for one Trey Lance because Geno Smith right now doesn't have to do much of anything. He really doesn't have to. Geno Smith had his best career game against the Denver Broncos, against your former protege in Seattle. That's what we saw. And I think Geno Smith, who isn't even a dome quarterback, could handle the – I mean, I've seen him play in West Virginia. He was fantastic in West Virginia. But when he got drafted to the Jets, I knew his career was over. But he had a career resurrection here. Flacco had a resurrection, and Geno Smith had a resurrection. Those are 2 quarterbacks out of week 1 that had a resurrection. Hell, Jacoby Brissett had a resurrection over the weekend. And you could argue right now that Deshaun Watson could basically be Jimmy Garoppolo this year sitting on the bench. I'm being honest. It wasn't much because it was really about Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb in this game. Maybe it was going to showcase Brissett just a little bit more here in Cleveland. They could do that. Maybe they're trying not to because they're not trying to steal Deshaun Watson's thunder. But let's be honest here for a minute. Deshaun Watson, does he really want to be in Cleveland? No, he wants the money. That's why he's in Cleveland. He could give 2 craps about being a Cleveland Brown. Let me tell you. Could give 2 craps. That, to me, is the main story coming out of this game is that Geno Smith had a career resurrection, in my opinion, and Trey Lance, if he keeps playing the way he's playing, like a dope quarterback who can't play in the outer elements, and I know it takes time, and I get it, but you are drafted at number 1. You are the number 1 franchise quarterback. You are the face of the franchise. You have played in bad weather already and already proved that you can play better, a little bit better than Jimmy G can do it in San Fran. Here in Chicago, I don't know what the hell you have here, man. I think even with George Kittle, this was a problem. So I think realistically here, that's the story here going after week 1 here. I think Geno Smith here is the better quarterback here in week 1 so far. That's pretty obvious. I'd say the second best quarterback had to be right now was probably Matthew Stafford. Murray's number 3, Lance is number 4. What can I say? Even with 3 interceptions, Matthew Stafford could be the second best quarterback in that NFC West division. And that division right now is a mess. That is a division right now that is a total freaking mess, in my opinion. And right now, and I have one more thing about Geno Smith here. If Seattle goes 2-0 against the 49ers, pulls off the upset. By the way, Pete Carroll has already screwed with Kyle Shanahan. So bad to the point where they've only had one career win, and it was a game they probably shouldn't even have won in the first place back in 2019. So I'm just saying here. But if Seattle pulls out the upset here in San Francisco here, I don't see San Francisco winning a game this year in Seattle. I really don't. Not with Trey Lance at quarterback. I see a sweep if that happens. And I think realistically here, if I had to make a prediction right now going the rest of the way for Seattle right now after that 49er win, they beat Seattle, they beat Detroit, and I think they beat New Orleans. I think they lose to Arizona after that. That's it. And I think realistically here right now going forward is where they start to struggle a little bit. But either way, Geno Smith can show up when he wants to. That's what that proved. And I think he did a remarkable job for what was offered to him in this game. And to beat Russell Wilson in his house and now claiming it's his house now and it's his team, that was a statement win. That's what he needed to do. I was way off. I had it being 40-3, and I had Geno Smith being pulled and Drew Lock starting next week. And this would have had Seattle going way down in losses here. It would have happened. But now, after what I saw with Atlanta, and I'm going to tell you this right now, and I'm not confident about this Atlanta team the rest of the way. I'm really not. Because right now, and as good as the Falcons' offense looks with Pitts and London here, I think Atlanta's going to be a new 0-17. That's my new prediction. I think they're not good enough. I think they're weak. I think Marcus Mariota is the wrong quarterback for this team. I think realistically Desmond Ridder will get the start probably in week because they'll just wait on this. That's what they'll do because Arthur Smith can't let this go. Arthur Smith was the guy that saw something in Marcus Mariota. He was around during Marcus Mariota's time in Tennessee. So it's one of those things. And maybe Ridder's not ready. I don't know. I don't know how Ridder wasn't ready. Ridder was the best quarterback in the preseason. I think realistically, if you could argue right now, if he would have played in this game on Sunday, then he would have won for the Falcons. And I wouldn't be feeling the way I'm feeling about the Atlanta Falcons at the one game. I know it's one game, but another blown lead at home, which is what's been happening for Atlanta lately. I don't know how they're not doing this on the road, but just doing it mainly at home. But their home field advantage kind of sucks. It really does. And I think realistically here, you could argue right now that they play the Rams and they play in Seattle back-to-back. Oh, that's not good. Then they play Cleveland right after that. That's even worse. Their schedule looks a lot tougher. And I think realistically right now going forward, the 49ers are not going to be – I think realistically are going to look bad. I think it looks bad for San Francisco. I think Kittle might be back next week. He might be back next week. He might not be. I don't know. There's a lot there. But Trey Lance ain't ready. I'm sorry. But I don't know if they're just keeping Jimmy G around in case Trey Lance has just got a bad practice this week and they see enough and they go right back to Jimmy G. I mean, that's what they're doing here. But Jimmy G should be traded to the Dallas Cowboys. I think if they are, they're in the playoffs. If not, it's tough to say they make that run with Philadelphia and Washington right now creeping up right now. I'm just saying, I think Philadelphia is still a playoff team. I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, but I don't think they'll be a division winner if Washington is still this good. I'm being realistic here. Washington won't be a winless team now. That's what my take is. They'll be right now on the verge right now of being in the playoffs. Right now. If they're not in the playoff division winning conversation, they'll be at least a wild card team. And I think realistically, Carson Wentz on the road, that's a real testament for him. I think he can pull it off. Carson Wentz had a career resurrection too. That's another quarterback I forgot to mention right there. 3 quarterback resurrections or 4 of them in one weekend. Jacoby Brissett, Joe Flacco, Geno Smith, and the one and only Carson Wentz. That's 4 quarterbacks right there I just named right there. You could argue right now Carson Wentz might be the MVP this year. He might be comeback player of the year. There is a story going forward with this Wentz thing? I know there is. This Washington Commanders team with all the flack, all the bullcrap from Dan Snyder, the Ron Rivera drama, the woke stuff, the Jack Del Rio storyline, who's going to coach who's lost the locker room. There's a lot of drama in Washington. And you want to know what happens usually when there's a lot of drama in an NFC East team? They always find a way to win a Super Bowl. They always find a way to do it. And when it involves Carson Wentz, you just never know. It was Carson Wentz's team that became Nick Foles' team. And look what ended up happening. And think about this one for a minute. Carson Wentz was in the NFC East. This is another fact to go into this. A team that has Carson Wentz in it has made the playoffs 3 straight years. That was Philadelphia. Washington could do that for the first time in decades. Just remember that. And I was hard on Carson Wentz because I was hard on Washington because I did not believe Washington had it in them because I thought they were just a bad team. And I know it's Jacksonville, and people are going to say, oh, Jacksonville's a bad team. You're overhyped. This is an overreaction. No, it's not. Because I think realistically, Doug Peterson is going to change that locker room. Yes, Jacksonville is not a good team. They're not really that bad of a team either. They look like a 7-10, 8-9 team, maybe even a division winner at 9-8. Because the AFC South right now at this point looks wretched at this point. They look absolutely wretched. I think Tennessee might end up being in last place next week. Don't be surprised if Jacksonville beats Indianapolis. Because Indy has got some weird curse now in Jacksonville. I don't know what it is, but it's just a weird curse every year. So, yeah, that's my takeaway in this whole thing. I will have my picks next week with Mike. He'll have his picks. We'll go over what he picked for last week here. I don't even think he knows he even remembers his picks, really. But that's that. One more thing to note, breaking news. NBA suspends Suns owner Robert Sarver for 1 year after an independent investigation into his workplace conduct. Here's the story on this, and I will leave the show here with that. This is according to Jameson Wimbush. The NBA announced on Tuesday morning that Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver has been suspended from the league for 1 year following the completion of an investigation into this inappropriate workplace conduct. Among the findings, the NBA determined that Sarver used the N-word on multiple occasions when retelling comments made by the other people he made sex-related comments to about female employees and created a work environment that was inequitable towards female employees. As a result, the league has decided to suspend Sarver 1 year in addition to fining him $10 million for his comments and behavior. During his suspension, Sarver will not have any involvement with the business or basketball operations of the Suns or Mercury and must complete a training program that focuses on appropriate conduct in the workplace. I'm going to tell you this right now. This guy's going to get fired. I don't care if this guy completes his training or not. There is no excuse for this guy using the N-word. That is horrible. The fact that this guy has even stooped to the levels right now of the old LA Clippers owner at this point from 2013, that is horrible. This guy should lose his ownership stock. He should be forced to sell the team. If he doesn't, will not support the Phoenix Suns now going forward. I'm sorry, I won't. And I don't know how Chris Paul would even agree to sign with this. And I think he knew about this too. I don't know how Chris Paul would want to stick around here now. That's a lot of questions right there. That's awful how that played out. Awful. Anyway. So for Saturday's episode, we'll have NFL predictions. We'll have college football recap for some of the games. I'll have a take on why Aaron Judge, I think, will break the Barry Bonds record in the near foreseeable future, why he's a longtime New York Yankee, and he ain't going anywhere. I'll have my take on that. So that will be that. I'll cover more about this on Saturday with Mike as well, with the owner, Robert Sarver, being suspended for 1 year. That is not good, as far as I'm concerned. That is horrible how that turned out. Awful. This guy did what he did. So I am going to peace out here. You know the social media stuff right now. I'm just going to – it's a lot to repeat. TikTok, Bleacher Report, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. That's it. That's all you need to know. The new one is Joe Oliva, Boston Sports. Nothing has changed with the other ones. That's really about it. There's nothing else here for me to say here. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you all Saturday. MLB stuff will be on the market when we going to talk as well. I will post some stuff scoring-wise with games if I try to. I'm busy today, so we'll see what happens with that. Other than that, I am done with the show for the day. See you all Saturday. Bye.